Okay, so the Bodhisattva comes to Alara and says that he wants to lead the spiritual life, the holy life, in this Dhamma and Vinaya. Then Alara praises his own doctrine. He says this doctrine is such that a wise person can soon enter and dwell in it, realizing for himself through direct knowledge his own teacher's doctrine. In other words, here Alara, I think this is an important point when we consider the later development of Indian spirituality, in which there's a lot of emphasis upon submitting to the guru, surrendering to the guru, venerating the guru. At this time, from this we could see that Alara, just like the Buddha, is pointing out that the important thing is not himself as the person, but what's important is the teaching, or his Dhamma. And he's also saying that I'm not the only one who has realized this, but any wise person who practices diligently can realize this same goal for himself. Okay, so the Bodhisattva says that he quickly learned this Dhamma, and then as far as recitation went, he was able to speak with knowledge and assurance about it, and to say, I know this, I understand this, so himself, and there were others too. And so it seems at first the Bodhisattva mastered the theory about Alara's teaching, but he wasn't satisfied with this. And so he thinks it's not through mere faith alone that Alara speaks about his doctrine, but he speaks on the basis of knowledge and insight. And so then the Bodhisattva comes to Alara and says, how do you speak, on what basis do you speak about entering and realizing this doctrine? And when the Bodhisattva asks this, Alara then explains to him what is called the base of nothingness. Okay, now the base, what is this base of nothingness? In the Buddha's own system of meditation, there are 8 stages of samadhi, 8 stages of deep concentration. The first 4 are the 4 jhanas. These are called simply the first jhana, second jhana, third jhana, fourth jhana. So those are stages in which the mind is becoming more and more collected, concentrated, focused, and absorbed into a state of deep peace and tranquility. But beyond the 4 jhanas, there are 4 other stages of samadhi, which are called the formless meditations. In Pali, these are called the arupa attainments. These are called arupa samapatti. That means the meditative attainments without any form as its object. The jhanas have some kind of visible form as their object, like a bright beautiful, radiant light. But in the formless attainments, even that beautiful, bright light vanishes, and there is an absorption of the mind without any kind of visible form for the mind to latch onto. And so the four formless attainments, the lowest is called the base of infinite space. So all form drops away, and there's just left a kind of mental perception of the infinity of space. Then going beyond that comes the second level, which is called the base of infinite consciousness. So space drops away, the awareness of space drops away, and the mind focuses upon the infinite expanse of consciousness itself. In the third stage, even consciousness as an object drops away, and there remains what is called nothingness. It's a kind of state without any obstruction, any impediment, any kind of substantial object ahead of it, in front of it. Okay, so Alara Kalama was able to enter into that state called the base of nothingness. And apparently, he took the attainment of that state to be the attainment of liberation, the attainment of enlightenment. Okay, so the Bodhisattva reflected that he has all the qualities needed to realize that attainment. He has faith, energy, mindfulness, concentration, and wisdom. And so he makes a determined effort to reach that meditative state. And so he quickly enters and dwells in that state, experiencing it for himself. He goes to his teacher, Alara, and reports what he has achieved. And then Alara doesn't get envious and resentful, but he congratulates the young bodhisattva. Maybe Alara is an older man, maybe 55, 60 years old. Now that seems young to me. And the bodhisattva is just 29 years old, maybe 30 years old. And yet the old master is overjoyed that his new disciple has realized this state. And so he says, it's a gain for us, a great gain, that we have you for such a companion in the holy life. The Dhamma that I say I enter upon and dwell in, that is the same Dhamma that you enter and dwell in. You know the Dhamma that I know the Dhamma that you know. You are just like myself, I am like you. And now, I'm at the bottom of page 257, he gives a very great honor to the Bodhisattva. He says, come friend, let us now lead this community together. This means that he's making the Bodhisattva his co-teacher. So he's saying, now we're at an equal level as far as attainment, realization goes. So I won't be the exclusive teacher anymore, but we will be co-teachers of this group. Probably this was a tempting offer. It's like somebody in the business world says, okay, I'm the president of the company, and now I have some very capable young executive comes in to work for me. He shows himself to be very skilled, very capable, very diligent. And so after just even maybe a few months in the company, he proves himself to be so capable that I think he's just as good as I am, so instead of me being the president and he just being a subordinate, I say, come on, we will be co-presidents of the company. But probably you won't get that in the business world, because then they have to share the salary. Okay, so the Bodhisattva goes on, he says, now he's speaking to the monks, he says, thus Alara Kalama, my teacher, placed me, his pupil, on an equal footing with himself and awarded me the highest honor. But now the Bodhisattva, maybe he said to Alara, let me think about it for a while, not just accepting it once. But when he went off to reflect, then he thought to himself, this Dharma does not lead to disenchantment, to dispassion, to cessation, to peace, to direct knowledge, to enlightenment, to Nibbana, but only to reappearance in the base of nothingness. Now the word that's translated here, reappearance, actually a better translation would have been rebirth. It leads only to rebirth in the base of nothingness. Okay, what is meant here? According to the Buddha's teaching, our different states of consciousness, different states of mind, are seeds with the potential to lead to rebirth in different realms of existence. So any kind of ethically determinate state of mind is the seed of a rebirth in another realm of existence. Or in some, let's say, the seed of a rebirth in some realm of existence. So if I do the types of deeds typical of a hell realm, for example, killing, harming, injuring other beings, slandering good and worthy people, going around all the time with a mind of hatred and resentment, that state of mind will function as the seed for a possible rebirth in a hell realm. If I have a mind, mental states which are generally a mixture of good and bad, say a predominance of good, wholesome states, but with some bad, unwholesome states, that kind of mind is likely to be the seed for a rebirth back into the human realm. If I have a very pure, very good and worthy state of mind most of the time, very generous, very loving, thoughtful, kind, compassionate, that kind of mind is the seed for a rebirth into one of the lower heavenly realms. Now, if I refine that good mind through the practice of meditation to the point that I'm able to gain a state of samadhi, the different levels of samadhi are the seeds for rebirth in the higher heavenly realms. And so there are states that correspond, states of rebirth that correspond to the 4 jhanas. For example, if I master the 3rd jhana, then when I pass away, my mind will tend to take rebirth in the level, that heavenly world that corresponds to the 3rd jhana. If I master the 4th jhana, I'll tend to take rebirth in that heavenly realm corresponding to the 4th jhana. If I master the base of infinite space, there is a realm corresponding to that state. If I master the base of infinite consciousness, there is a realm corresponding to that state. If I master the meditation of the base of nothingness, then my mind will tend to take rebirth in the realm of nothingness. That's a realm, very, very subtle realm, that corresponds to the meditative state of the base of nothingness. And it's said that in these realms, the mind is very peaceful, very calm, in a state of almost undisturbed equanimity for thousands and thousands of kalpas. You know what a kalpa is? A kalpa is a cosmic aeon. So if we take the example of what's called the Big Bang, you know, that's the time from this particular world system begins just as a point of very intense light, which just suddenly it explodes, and then space comes into being, and very quickly the universe, starting as a point of light, starts to expand till matter starts to form, the material particles cluster to form atoms, the atoms draw together to form the first stars, the stars draw together to form the first galaxies, the first generation stars explode, then the debris of those exploding stars form the second generation of stars, and the dust matter left by the first generation stars coalesces to form planets. Then we get the world system expanding, expanding, expanding. Now it's said to be something like 14, 15 billion years. Maybe it goes another 15 billion years. So 30 billion years of expansion. Then the expansion slows down, followed by a period of contraction, maybe another 30 billion years. So altogether 60 billion years. That's one kalpa. Now, the lifespan in the base of nothingness is said to be 60,000 kalpas. That means 60,000 big bangs, expansion of the cosmos, contraction of the cosmos, expansion, contraction, expansion, contraction. Do that 60,000 times, and that is the lifespan in that realm. And so the meditation masters of that time some of them would have been able to enter into that meditative state, and they would have experienced it as so peaceful, so tranquil, completely undisturbed, and they would have had some sense that if I get my consciousness, when this body falls away, my consciousness will go to that realm and remain there forever. That's what they thought. So that is eternity. That is liberation. That's the state of complete spiritual perfection. And that's what they thought. But somehow the Bodhisattva, the future Buddha, probably through his very deep and sharp wisdom, would have understood that this state is not the real liberation, that this is not an eternal state. But after mastering that attainment, one gets reborn there, one dwells there for such an inconceivably long period of time, and then it's a little bit like this thing. Bang! After 60,000 aeons. Bang! Very soft and gentle. Bang! Bang! Emerge. My samadhi. What is that? Then no body, no substance, but a little guy taps me on the shoulder and says, "Time's up, my friend." And I say, "What do you mean time's up?" He says, "You'll see." And then, zoop! I'm down in the mommy's womb, 9 months later, ow, 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 rubbing my eyes. What's going on here? Doctor slaps me behind. Then I start wailing, milk, milk, milk. Then, 5 years old, mommy says, you're starting kindergarten, finished kindergarten, elementary school, junior high, high school, college applications, what graduate school should I go to? Have to get a job, falling in love, getting married, having children, all over again, all over again.